guys. Y'all know what we do every Thursday here at the Tyrone Hour. We strive to bring dignity, power, class back to our communities, man. You know, we feel that class is missing. I always say it's like school on Easter. No class. Y'all know what I'm talking about. All the guys who know about Fat Albert and all those things, y'all know exactly what I mean about that. Class is what's missing. We see it all day long. Walking down the street, we'll tell you it again. Rolling your blunts up, all wide open. Doing your drugs wide open now. Weed is still a drug now, guys. It is a certain hallucinogen to certain folks. They even got certain types that fit anything that goes on. So, again, I say class is missing. You know, sometimes you took yourself in the house and you did your drugs by yourself or chilled. Remember what we used to call it? Chill. Yo, let's go chill. Y'all ready to go chill? Yeah. That means we going down low somewhere, watch some TV, drink up beers and chill. Not wide open like it is. Had a little class with ourselves. The kids didn't need to see us being grown folks. You know what I mean? The kids didn't need to see us being grown folks, man. Again, I say, man, class is missing in our communities. You know what I mean? You say, oh, well, no, they legalized marijuana. They legalized marijuana. But I said before, is this the right class of folks to legalize it for? Maybe they could have did this back in the early 80s. We were more classy and respectful the way we carried ourselves in the early 80s and early times. Now we don't have no class on how we carry ourselves in communities. Right now, we just openly do everything in our communities and it's accepted. Okay? Again, I say, King, I didn't want to go there, but I wanted to have a culture talk. Remember that outside, King, and I was telling you about, damn, man, you know, I work at a spot, man, and you know, there's a lot of seniors and a lot of handicap, and you know, they Medicaid and everything, but they can find their way to cuss other black folks all day long.
I keep preaching about the self-hate.
King, I mean, these are disabled folk. But
it's
they can find their way to call it up, you mother.
It's self-hate, Ty. How long have I been
You've been saying it for a while, King, and I know it, King, but I just want to talk about it. Go ahead,
I understand, but again, this goes back to, you know, how do we rebuild our community? How do we, you know, become better as individuals?
Yeah.
And I told you that I think, you know, we're just lost as a people.
King, I'm breaking up squabbles all day. I mean, with handicapped blacks. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm with you.
With handicapped blacks, all right? So I'm saying, wow, man, you know, wow, man. So I realize some societies and, you know, culture of people have certain things and traits that they're known for. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the Mexicans are known for builders. They're known for building. Building, yes. Cultural things. Some cultures, a lot of the Irish culture, they were like a lot of warmongers type people. They were considered Vikings in some areas of the northern parts of Ireland and all those parts.
Yeah.
Some of the Africans were known as jungle tribal people. All right, you had a certain stigma that was attached to your culture.
Yeah.
So even when I look at the cultures in our country right now that create America, which we are Americans, go up and all that African and all that, I'm an American, all right? We have designed our own little culture. Now part of, you know, I watch other people, King, they're a little more serene in their lives. And I know things, they didn't have as bad things that happened to them that happened to us in life and history. Why didn't he? Okay. Why didn't he, King? We always talk about that. Go ahead, King.
Well, listen, you can make the argument that, you know, we as a people were way better back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s than we are today.
As far as being civil with one another?
As far as everything. As far as being civil with one another. As far as owning our own stuff. As far as educating our own kids. As far as rearing them and giving them morals and values. As far as, you know, introducing them to God and, you know, its connection. I mean, we know for days. When I say that back then, you know, it was better. You know, you had a marriage rate of what 70, 80%.
70, 80% in the black community.
And they didn't have anything. They didn't have money. They didn't have all that stuff because it was centered around each other. It was centered around the community. It was centered around growing and building. I mean, listen, I have my family, you have yours, but if I have an extra sack of potatoes and you don't have it, we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and ship that down there to you because I know your kids need that.
Your kids need that. That's
you know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, once we've severed those ties, and we have, and we've moved into liberalism, and liberalism is nothing more, you know, because you hear that term is tossed around a lot. It's nothing more than freedom, because that's all liberty means, is freedom. And, you know, the question that you have to ask is, what are you free to do? Because, again, God already gave us free will. So this notion of us having
this other freedom,
these other freedoms, these other things that we're trying to obtain, I'm at a loss because I don't understand them. I already have them. And I've been saying that, you know, this is where, my voice is needed because, you know, you have those intellectual ones and those people that are rich, you know,
excuse me, go ahead.
You know, and because they now have grabbed the microphone and basically it's like, well, look at me. Well, you're not as rich as me, so obviously you need to listen to what I'm saying to, to obtain what I have. Or on the other end, well, you know, you haven't obtained the degrees that I've obtained, so there's no way that you can possibly be more intelligent than I because predicated off of degrees, you know, I'm supposed to be more intelligent than you.
That's what I'm saying, King, about, you know, what culture, you know, society and people bring to culture. Romans were warriors. The Spartans was warriors. You get me? And what we know for the arguing culture? Are we arguing?
What?
You know, I mean,
black people?
I'm just saying though. I was giving titles and stuff.
I'm gonna let you answer your own question.
I said it myself earlier. Yes, I believe we are.
I'm gonna let you answer your own question about when I say this. In the 1920s, we were 13% of the population. In 2023, we are 13% of the population. I'll let you answer your own question. What kind of people are we if we are arguing people, gang? We like arguing people. We the self-hate people.
We're arguing people all day long. God damn it. King, I say, man, what a week here in Baltimore. You see the national ratings on the worstest crime-ridden cities?
We're Baltimore number one?
No, we were somewhere between 1 and 10 or somewhere, but we ranked. We ranked somewhere in that one area. We ranked.
Oh, you talking about worst city to live in? Oh, we were ranked number 10.
We ranked number 10.
The worst city to live in.
Yeah, the worst city that to come to. Pretty much don't come in. People leaving. They say we clearly know.
They were losing average of 7,000 people a year.
I'm watching Park Heights is every 7-8 years a block of homes get, you know, tore down because ain't nobody there. They vacant homes, they should be tore down. There's nobody there. Nobody is gonna regenerate them more. The money in the streets anymore is not like that more.
Well, Tassi, again, you know, I want to say this because over the weekend I was asked would I run for city council, and you know, I answered. I was like, you know, I wouldn't mind doing something like that because I think it would be fun. But you know, the difference between me and those people is that when I come, you know, to some place like that, I'm coming to get the job done.
I ain't coming for no extras.
And you know, he made a comment which was true. He was like, you know, because you know, you get a job down at City Hall, you know, you get on this committee, that committee, you know, you get slid the extra $10,000 under the table over there, you know, hey, you know, you can build yourself up from that. And my response to it was, no, that's not me. I was like, you know, it's funny that you say that because, you know, the 10,000, that's like a drop in the bucket. You know, Chris said it, he's on the bus. He's like, it comes with a lot more than just $10,000. So, you know.
He started early, huh? He wanted to test the wheel all
well, here's the thing, you know, and I like it because it was something that was unrehearsed. It was something that was completely off guard, and you know, pose a question. There's your character.
Okay, you know, King, I say, man, you know, those jobs again. I say, yelling out for folks that don't want no extra, but just care about the community.
Well, here's the thing. The other reason why I told him that I wouldn't run or I couldn't run is because, listen, I'm not there for the politics and the foolishness.
Well, see, that's what I said.
And that's the part that you have to excel in. If you don't excel in that, then you're never going to be successful as a politician.
You have to learn how to curb an answer, huh?
Well, not even curb an answer, because all you got to do is watch Russ Moore and Brandon Scott and how they dance around questions.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. How you watch Face the Nation and the guy say, well, what about the bombing right here? Well, strategically, well, what about the bombing? But strategically, but what about the bomb? You know what I'm saying? You have to play those silly games. And that's not what some people come for.
Well, you see, this is what
I didn't get backing.
Well, this is what you see going on right now in the city. And this is why the city is where it is. They just passed a $4.4 billion city budget. I mean, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the one who's just aloof, and I just don't know any better. But based off of what I'm seeing, where is that $4.4 billion going at?
Where did the first part go at? And the last part?
Well, here's the thing. At $4.4 billion, you down 500 police officers, you down 200-300 firefighters.
You down half your staff.
Well, I ain't even got to him yet. The city work, city works and departments of works is down.
They ain't
Well, I don't know how, because they contracted everything that the city is supposed to be doing. They contracted it to private contractors.
You know what?
Hold on, because you're fair thing.
You just peeped that.
Picking up the trash and picking up the recycling. Now, it would make more sense to hire people from the city who lives in the city, who has pride in the city. But you would rather go outside of the city and hire a
community
and give them a contract to come in here. But I ain't done, because here, you think that's something. They just passed this big legislation in Howard County about the school bus. Next year they're not even gonna have school buses for some of those students. And the reason being, before he said, like, I was just in the background saying, oh, this has something to do with climate control. This has something to do with climate control. What happened? They awarded the contract to this company called Zuma in California, because they make electrical buses, and that's what they're going to now ship here at a cost of $117,000 a year to operate. Whereas when they had physical drivers and gas, you were talking about $74,000 a year. Now when we start talking about being fiscally responsible, I keep talking about being financially literate and illiterate. When I say something like that, and I'll tell you that we have politicians that is voting to kill things that are saving money in favor of policies that are increasing money that people don't have. Because understand this, people, you are going to be the ones paying for it. Your taxes will get increased. But in Maryland, they don't seem to care about that. See, in Maryland, everything is about how it looks. We define wokeism here in Maryland. Everything is about how it looks, not about how it is. And this is where you get a lot of fraud.
Well, hold up, King. Hold up now. Okay. Well, that fraud. Well, the fraud right now faced. The fraud right now faced with all these lucrative charities and all these things, and giving $1.5 million to a man, and first thing he went out and did was spend $250,000. They don't know what he spent it on. All right. Well, but again, I say, King, right now, man, I guess his term is coming up. His term is coming up, and hopefully,
can I say it?
Hopefully what? Can you say what?
He going to jail?
Well, I'm just saying. I didn't say that wasn't what my hopefully was. My hopefully was that hopefully our folks start voting. So I seen PM Smith, wasn't it? PM Smith,
yes.
And he said the exact same thing. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. These folks are listening to the Tyrone Hour. They're repeating the same damn things we've been saying for months. He said it's time for people to start. Now he's saying it. He's probably been saying it too. You start voting your values. You're not making sense. These are not your values. I don't care how modernized you claim to be, or modernized society is coming in, how much technology is. These are not your values. And they're being thrust upon you. I get you, brother. Let me finish this off. I get you. I'm saying, but these are not our values. Our values hold on to the family generational structure. These values are severing the ties of the generational structure of our families. They're saying you don't need this part. You don't need that part. But yet we in the house telling our children to go to school, go to college. And see these entities, these social media, Instagram, TikTok, these people are literally mind-effing our families. And we don't know how to take the toy anymore. See, at one time, these were considered toys. I don't care if they're educational or not. They were still considered a toy. And sometimes your parents will come back and they say, enough of that Game Boy for the day. Enough of that for the day. But there's a time where we're not saying enough of that for the day. We are bombarded with false and negative and derogative and divisively hurtful and harmful, possibly deadly to yourself, knowledge all day consistently. And we must learn to navigate through that. Some of us don't have the emotional skills to navigate through that. Some of us don't have the emotional skills to navigate that. You know what I mean? And this is what we're faced with right now, man. We're faced with these type things right now, with our families being severed. And I said this when we finished the show last week, I said, do your thing, but please leave our families alone. And I said that again. I'm going to say it again. Black Lives Matter. Man, look, man. King, you done said something nice about Black Lives Matter, about black families destroyers or something. You know what I mean? And that's what we see from it. It has served no purpose for black families. Again, I say, when we as blacks, we didn't have money like that coming up like that. We didn't have these organizations and entities that were powerful now. That are powerful. We didn't have them. They backed fully money. You know, and these folks are still not coming back and doing the right things for the family. They actually are to me, enterprising companies.
Have you seen what their families look like?
That's what I said. They're enterprising companies. Yeah. They're enterprising companies, and they're just coming back again, claiming to live somewhere where you used to live. If your boots ain't on the ground no more, then you don't live there anymore. You really can't speak about it. If you're not a councilman who had boots on the regions, at least the realm of your where you run at, where you are ruled or whatever, right? Then you shouldn't be the councilman there because you have no experience of the lifestyle that goes on in there. You're speaking from a distance. We always say the perch up on the hill, King. You always say it all the time. You're talking from a perch up on the hill. There's someone that's just got a raise. He already making $280,000 a year. He just got another raise. He making $360,000 a year. His home been paid for years. That's basically just luxury money. He don't understand no more. Yeah, you used to be middle class or poor. You used to be. We get that, but you ain't no more. You ain't no more. So you don't no longer see or speak on what he's going through making $30,000 or $20,000 or got 4 or 5 kids and trying to make it the so-called way of just surviving. You can't see that no more. So we have a lot of blacks now that have arrived in that area. I mean, because we are successful folks now, and we always has been. But money is being attached to it now, King. And these folks cannot identify anymore with where we live at.
Well,
they can't identify no more.
Okay, just to illuminate that a little bit. Atlanta is the black capital of the world.
Yeah, yep.
We agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Atlanta has a cachet of money.
Yeah.
Or I use Nancy Pelosi's words, a coffer full of money.
Yeah.
You know? But I want you to look at, and they're from the South, Bible Belt, family oriented, everything. Look at Atlanta What else is it called? It's also the black capital of the world, but it's also the black homosexual capital is the San Francisco for black people. And when you talk about the level of debauchery, they tell you, oh, if you come to Atlanta, you really need to be on your P's and Q's because you will pick up something that you would think is something completely. But it goes back to the point that I'm making is it's the family structure. See, all of these things have crept in. And it has crept in on the back of money. Money has issued all of these things in because money has now given the tolerance to it.
The tolerance.
It's a tolerance now. And as long as you have the money, you can now craft a policy of tolerance. And those that go against your policy of tolerance will, it first started out with you just being canceled and things like that on social media. Now it's to the point where, listen, you may be arrested. You may be fined.
Lose your job.
You may lose your job. There's a litany of things that comes along with that. Now, if you are controlled, you know, like I see a lot of people are, then, hey, you know, it's going to be hard for you to maneuver around in this world because, again, the tolerance is attached to the money. So once you express your intolerance, there's no longer any more money. And the money that you have is now under attack.
And that's what I said. We said that before. If you ain't preaching to that chorus, then sometime you're not even going to be a part of the money line. They'll waste money.
But here's the thing. This is where it goes back to, you know, people don't really believe in God or, you know, whatever it is, because again, I don't want to get into the bog down into the God and the Jesus and the Allahs and all that mess. I don't care about that. What I care about is, do you believe that there is a guiding light that is beyond you? And if you don't believe that, then this is not for you. But I believe that. And I live free. And I speak free. I live free. I act free. None of the things that I see going on.
Give me the website when you get a chance.
You know, none of the things that I see going on do I even feel remotely fearful of. Cancel me? So what? Take money. What money you gonna take from me? You know, I'm like, what other name could you possibly call me other than what you've called me? Because at the end of the day, I also know that everybody has a thing in them, a compass, a moral compass in it, whether they choose to acknowledge it or not. You know right from wrong. It's built into you. So the things that I'm saying, and, you know, some of the vitriol that I may receive from some of the, you know, people that are out there, some of the things that I say, it comes from a place where I really don't care if I offend you or you don't like it. It does not matter to me. You don't have to listen to me.
You don't have to listen to me. That's the way we report it. Bring the website.
Website wfbr1590.weebly.com. You can also find us at K-Thoughts, KAETHOUGHTS. You can find that. You can find us on Rumble and YouTube. Again, at K-Thoughts for Rumble and YouTube. And you can find us on our podcast platforms at Spotify, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and Google. Yeah. All right, Ty.
Hey, man, again, I say thank you, King, man. You know, I'm going to have my public service announcement in a little bit.
Okay, tune in?
Yeah. And tune in? Yeah, go ahead.
Tune in to WFBR 1590. You know, daily. There's a lot of, you know, good shows that are on here, a lot of good classical music. Hey, we have a caller?
Mom? Hey, Mom!
Hey, how you doing, New Hawking?
What's going on, Mom? Something on your mind, or you just want to chime in on what you want to talk about? What's on your mind?
Well, when you all were talking about when people speak up and speak out on certain topics, how they can be blackballed. Well, there have been many people that have asked questions like, why are the big entertainers with all of the money, the black people with all the money, when issues come before us, you never hear them come out and speak up against it or for it one way or another. And I came to the conclusion that black people, you may think you have a foothold here in America, But the white man, the system, can break you just like they made you. So they are cautious when they speak out against certain issues that's political, that talks about the black folk. They are very careful because they know that there are certain things that they still have to go to the white man for.
Hey man, well let's look at Kanye West. He spoke up and said, bottom line, hey, look, man, Jewish people run everything. And look what happened. He was a billionaire one day, and within a couple minutes they say, oh, he ain't a billionaire no more.
That's what I'm saying. So people have asked me several times, why is it as powerful as people think Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Spike Lee, all those people with the money, they often say, well, how come you didn't hear them say anything about so-and-so topic or what's in the news?
Yeah.
Well, you have to understand, remember when Oprah Winfrey spoke out about the beef in Texas, those Texas beef growers?
Yeah.
And they got so upset with her and they took her to court. And that's how Dr. Phil became in existence, because he stood with her.
Yeah.
And because he stood with her and fought with her, she gave him that show.
Okay, King, you got something to say about that?
Well, no, she's 100% correct. The reason why they don't speak out is exactly right. They're controlled. They have handlers, and there are certain things they're told not to speak out. I mean, come on now. You see these people, they constantly tell you where they come from and how they got to where they got to, but every time it comes around to reinvesting in the same community that you came out of or what have you, you don't hear it. Again, I constantly hear Jay-Z talk about he's a billionaire, him and Beyonce, but yet he hasn't, in my opinion, done anything to change the life of the people who live in the Marcy.
He has to go back and talk to about. He has to go back and drive past the Marcy.
The Marcy project.
Yeah.
At $1 billion, no disrespect, but I think that
clean that whole area.
He can make it so that, hey, listen, if
they have a black market. I'm talking about feeding market.
Yeah, anybody that's seen in here selling drugs, we have our own private security, and we have a pipeline right to the NYC Police Department. A, B, and C. But again, these are things. Instead, they take their money and they do open up schools. Don't get me wrong, they help out people.
Some of them do.
No, they do. They all do, because they got to write the money off some kind of way.
That's right. They have tax write-off.
They have to have that philanthropy part built into their system. So what they do is that they invest that money overseas in schools and building wells, water wells, and things like that in these other underdeveloped countries. Because if they dare to bring that money back to the community and help the community out, then they will be ostracized by those same handlers, and they will lose the fortune that they have accumulated.
I get you. Emma, you got something to say about that?
Well, I agree with Kingsley, and I've noticed that, and I've watched it from just watching how black people do not come back and help their people.
No, I said it for a long time.
And to me, we are people that, like Kingsley say, I don't really think we love each other.
I said we are arguing people.
Because if I say, for instance, right now, if Charles and I were to hit the lottery, big money, my first thought, and Charles and I talk about this, my first thought is how I'm going to help my family members. Then after I help my family members, I'm going to look around and see what friends of mine need some help. Of course, I'm going to make it so that I make sure that we are okay, but I don't want all of that money for myself. I want to share. I want to see somebody come up from where they were to where they can be.
That's right.
So to me, it's a selfish. We are a selfish people. We fight in our families. We have people in our families that have access to money. And if you call them and say, I have a problem, and they know you're good for it, and they will turn you down.
Now I got you, man. I get you,
Well,
man.
you know
And the
what?
same thing with your program, Newt. It bothers me that I'm not financially stable enough to support that ministry that you and Kingsley have as much as I would like to. But when I can, I do send a monetary donation in to support it. And I wish my family members would look and see. Here you have a family member that's on the radio talking about class, accountability, situations in your community, how you want to clean it up, how you want to see it become better. But yet we as black people, when we get something, we close our hands. We close our hands and we don't loosen them to help anybody.
That's what. So Kathy Hughes said to do it only on Tuesday though. We needed more than Tuesday.
That's what I'm saying. You don't just, I mean, think about what's going on with the housing industry now. Everything down here in Statesville, North Carolina, where I live, is now going to rent. All of these homes and apartments that they're building now, when they finish and almost finish, up comes a sign, apartments for rent, houses for rent.
Yeah.
You don't see houses to buy or to own. It's now in this rental market. And Kingsley, can you kind of fill me in where that is going with all of this rent thing now?
I sure can. It was told a while back that by the time 2030 or 2035 get here, you will own nothing and you will love it.
Yeah, because you have free will now.
Because that's, that's exactly what they're trying to put forth. Again, as long as I'm renting to you, you can never buy, and I will always get exceedingly rich. You get where I'm going? So there's no accountability there, and you don't know who this person is or this conglomerate is that's buying all these houses or these plots of land and renting them out to people, and to the point where now, you need credit checks, you need this, you need that. You can't even qualify to get an apartment unless they get your whole background. They want to know your baby footprint and everything else just to rent you an apartment. It's ridiculous. But again, this is where it's going. And then now, if we saw in the grocery stores where they started putting in those cash, self-checkouts, and people was, that's such a great idea. And he started telling them that, people are going to lose their jobs. Now, I'm walking into Royal Farms. He got two people working there. One person.
And the cashier don't even help you.
Oh, that's the cashier. She
don't even help you.
And
the Dollar General stores all around. I don't know, Kings, if you've been keeping up with that. They have had the fire marshals come in to the Dollar General stores, also here where I am. The customers have been complaining about going in the stores, can't get around in the stores because the boxes are neat all the way up to where you can't maneuver in the stores. Plus, the store down here that I patronize every once in a while, I was over there last week. There was one woman in the Dollar General. She was doing stock. She was doing the register, and they're saying that this is an unsafe condition for the workers, because when you only have one worker in a store that large, and they having staff going left and right right in those stores. And do you know that those people that work there are accountable for that at the end of the year? This is what the lady told me.
Well, Ma, this is
So
exactly.
people, they're not gonna work. Yes, you need to work.
Yeah, Ma.
But when you watch your store with merchandise piled up, knowing that 2 workers that you have or 3 in that store cannot get that stock out, but you refuse to hire somebody to come in there and help.
I'm about to let you go now, Ma. Ain't got that much time.
Okay, enjoy the show as usual. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. King, again, I say, Ma, always give it from our perspective, man. We've never had a challenger, right?
No.
She never had a challenger yet on anything she said, man. You know what I mean? Because I guess I learned the common sense from her.
It's possible.
I guess I learned the common sense from her, man. You know what I mean? Make common sense when you do some things.
Well, that's how I was taught.
That's how we were taught, right, King? Let me get my public service announcement, guys.
Please.
You know we do here at Tyrone Hour every Thursday from 2 to 3. We do Baltimore City, basically a Maryland public service announcement here. It's called the Wild Squeegee Alert. Okay? King, we do it because of what? There were women and children.
I'm going to go there. Women and children being accosted and assaulted.
Assaulted over what kind of money?
Dirty ashtray money.
Dirty ashtray money. Literally to this fraud, dirty ashtray money eventually led up to a murder scene. Yeah, so this is why we do the Wild Squeegee Alert here at the Tyrone Hour.
My friend, hold on, a friend of mine I went to college with, he's the lawyer for the young man who shot the guy.
Now, again, I say, to all patrons coming into Maryland, I don't care if you're coming in the top of Maryland, Oakland, or Hagerstown, or Weinberg. I just found out wine. You know what? They got Negro Mountain up there too, King. If you go further, they got Negro Mountain up there. Look it up. Look it up. All right.
They got Negro Mountain up there.
Negro Mountain, wherever down there. All right. To the bottom of Town, or even up, but anywhere in the middle of Maryland, beware the Wild Squeegee crossings. Okay.
They have it. That's
beware the Wild Squeegee crossings, King. If you run up on them, King, don't give them no eye contact. All right.
I'm tripping off.
If it gets ugly, you proceed through the light with caution, King. If you put that damn window down and talk to a stranger before you get home,
you get what you get.
You get what you get. You go home, you tell your wife or your family or whatever, look, I talked to a stranger at a light, and things went bad, or it should have. That is our Wild Squeegee Alert. Proceed to the light with caution, King.
Yeah.
But I did say I'm going to give Charles another shout out. Charles said give him the evil eye. I say no, not in these days and time, Mr. Charles. Proceed to the light with caution and call the police if things get ugly. That was our weekly Wild Squeegee Alert, King. Thank you. You guys didn't know it was a Negro Mountain, huh?
No, I didn't.
That's right. I tell you, knowledge is everywhere. Negro Mountain. Is it on 95 or
crazy.
795? Which one is it? Or 895?
It should be on 70. Like going to Allegheny County.
It's not going on.
Like towards Pennsylvania.
Yes, that's up. 70. I think it's 70 or 270.
It's between Somerset County and Garrett County.
Yep. Negro Mountain. Yep, it's up there. Yep. King, I say, man, gave you guys something to think about today, huh? That Negro Mountain, huh? Yeah, we got a mountain too, King. Yeah. King, I say, man, what a good show, King. We'll talk about the mayor a little bit, King, because
I don't know why you guys want me to go in on that.
We'll give him a little tidbit on it.
It's a brand individual.
Did you see his face when
that dead
45?
Dead stare.
That unprofessional look he gives that
dead stare.
This young lady who's doing her job now.
The dead stare.
Is it because she's white?
She's disgusting.
Or if she was black?
If she's white.
If she was black, he would be better off with the mic in his face. You get what I'm trying? You get what I'm going?
I'm there.
Because she's a young lady who has a job. She's white, and she's doing her job.
Okay, Ty.
And he's ready to go, King. Give me a little bit.
I'm going to be on this show in June of last year. So this is practically my first year.
Good. Congratulations, Mo. Congratulations. I don't know about dates, Mo. Go ahead.
I don't even, but and since I first came on, one of the things that I talked about was Brandon Scott and just the way that how everything has been ran. something that you said earlier. I'm trying to remember, but I can't. But something that you said earlier in the beginning of the show that I had first said when I came here. You know, here's a person who ran on being transparent and fixing crime by reducing it.
Yeah.
Yet crime steadily is increasing, even though, according to him,
black crime, because he's a black man, he was having black problems here, right?
In the city that's 70% black. I don't understand.
But that's what I'm saying, though. As the leader, he, go ahead, King, because we were the ones in trouble. Go ahead, King.
And he also ran on the transparency thing.
Yeah.
And when you listen to him talk, and I'm glad you brought up Fox News and how he talks to her with this, this disdain, it's unprofessional. Like he's disgusted with just the fact, how dare you even talk to me? You're so beneath me. Why are you even speaking to me? And the reason why he has that disposition is because the questions that are being asked are valid.
They're valid questions.
And it brings me to how he looked today when she was asking questions. Because she didn't back down. No, he looked defeated.
Yeah.
He had that bewilderment look. He actually answered the question without being smart for once.
Yeah, but he had that look on his face.
But that's that look of, you know what? Hey, I know I'm in trouble. How I'm going to get out of it?
Yeah.
Because now they're asking questions like the police chief. He's still on the payroll, but he resigned 2 or 3 weeks ago. Or did he get fired?
He resigned.
Or did he find another job? Well, the people at City Hall or the City Council still are not clear as to what's going on.
So the probably getting paid too.
Well, she probably still getting paid. She doesn't leave for another 8 days.
Oh, so she's still getting paid then?
And she still gets a check. Well, she's still working, so she still get a check, but she leaves in a couple of days. But Michael Harrison, he's gone. And he doesn't have an answer. And these are the questions, and this is what I mean by double talk. I want you to listen to this answer. Hey, what do you think is going on with the police chief? You have factions of city council saying that they don't know what's going on. And we have a process that has to work itself out. And as we continue to work this process out, then we'll come up with a solution to the problems that this situation might have. But hold on, listen to me. That this situation might have incurred. We don't ever, try to add confusion to a story. So we're just going to work through the process, and as the process works through, we'll all be clear.
And we'll keep paying you until it's clear. I got you.
Here's the thing I'm saying. The whole thing that I just said was a bunch of nothing. Basically, what I said was that, I don't know. And when I find out the answer, I'll tell you. But I said it in a manner that, because I'm educated, I know how to string words together. I can manipulate how you feel because now I've struck that accord. Well, that's the intellectual side of him speaking. Obviously, he knows what he's talking about. They're working through a process.
Yes, King. I tell you, King. Again, I go back to what we once were talking about in the show. And we talked about on several shows. We talked, what do we do here at the time when we strive to do what, King? Accountability,
dignity, class, respect, accountability, self-discipline, responsibility,
emotional responsibility is one of our highest things that we stress here at the Tyrone Albert, King. I always say I don't like a shot gangster. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Shot gangster. Your homeboy or whatever, your homegirl, when they go out, they cool. They got 2 shots in them. They shot gangsters now.
Yeah, they tougher than nails.
Now. See, I don't like a shot gangster. I like to be able to go somewhere and we have our drinks and get real nice. And go home and act civilized. You get me?
I'm with you.
See, some people that can't do that don't need to do it at all. Because you have no emotional control as we talk about what we strive to get people to understand, because that's one of the number one things. We had another episode of a young man jumping in a vehicle. Police told him stop. He jumps into a 12,000-pound vehicle and commenced to, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. Well, again I say, who do I call the police? I call them my label as what? What superhero? I label the police as Batman. The police is Batman. He has utility belt on. He puts it on every morning, shines up his things and everything on that utility belt can kick you. You get into a 12,000-pound vehicle and can plow through them. Oh, it didn't end up right, King, again.
Well, how was it?
It's supposed to end up. It's supposed to end up
the way it's supposed to end up.
the way it's supposed to. But we got the people out. Oh man, King. King, I want to talk a little political too. You know what I mean? You know, Joe Biden. You know his you know that deal he was in with his son and them was providing checks even for the grandkids.
What? Even what?
Even the grandkids were getting checks. Yeah. He pleaded guilty already, King. They wiped that out. Trump's still going to court back and forth for nonsense. For Stormy Brown or whatever her name was. Whatever her name. She don't count. It's a lot of jargon and political bull crap. I just think that we are in an era where politicalism is going to get even worse than now. It's going to get even worse than now, King. We got these mainstreamers coming in with these weird ideas that are not financially family sound. Go ahead.
They don't get any more weirder than your boy Westmore.
Yeah.
He's out here now. He's attacking the governor of Florida, talking about their book ban that they have. He said, and I'm quoting, that, hey, I don't understand, these governors that are, what I say, but you know what? You guys are welcome here in Baltimore. Yeah. Excuse me, welcome here in Maryland. You can come here and you can put on any book you want. See, the reason that Ron DeSantis is against this book ban is not that it's teaching anything that has anything to do with
there you go.
And teaching, teaching anything that has to do with anything that's critical, positive about race. No. Instead, it is an LGBT agenda
down
that is being
That's what's going on, black people.
And
he's not good, King. I'm saying, King.
These lewd acts that they have in these books describe how to do these acts with other people of the same sex. This is what he's banning. This is what he's banning. But yet, Westmore says that welcome here in Maryland.
Bring it on in down. Your children can see two boys going down on each other because they're going to want. If they want to do it, Chris, they have to at least know how to do it. So that's why we've got this book in school to show two boys how to sexually motivate each other if they get curious in that area. So we want the book in school. Go ahead,
I say these things now because
it's already in.
Because I know come next year, you guys who voted for all this
black people
are going to feel it. This $4.4 billion budget that they just passed for Baltimore. I'm trying to figure out how you guys going to pay for it. Half of the damn money is going to the car, to the education.
Let me say this, King. Go ahead, King. Go ahead, King.
I was like, half of that money is going to that. Where do you think the money is going to come from? It's coming from the shrinking population that's here in Baltimore.
You see the disgust in Chris' face when we said that this book is in an elementary school. Black people.
You know why he had
Are you not discussing more with black families?
You know why
even gay people should be upset about this because that's not what you really propagating to children. You really real professional gay people want their children to go to school, do the right things too.
This gonna trip you out.
Wow, man. They don't want that.
There is a faction of gay people out here that's against this.
That is.
And the look of disgust that came across Chris' face is because his daughter isn't even a year old, and he's already thinking, man, I got 5 years to cultivate my baby before I even introduce her to this population called school.
Before this population called school, it ain't even school anymore.
And then
all we talk about is gender now.
And they don't know how to they can't write in cursive. I got a problem with that. They can't write in cursive these days. Everything is a print. And Chris has that look on his face because he's a proud new father. And I'm sorry that your day was co-opted.
This is what we all have to deal with. I got grandkids in school right now. Yes. I got grandkids, babies in school right now that have to deal with gender and not fractions.
And I'm telling y'all, there's always
and we are not offended as black nuclear families. There are more black nuclear families out here than there are more gay families and gay people. I don't care how you want to look at it.
But I just told you. I just told you. But you see what's
where are they at?
Well, let me tell you where they at. Them same black families that you're talking about, they got the money. And with money comes tolerance. They are tolerant of it because these same people whose family members, especially your politicians and your rich people and your entertainers, all of their kids have subscribed to this transsexual, queer, alternative lifestyle. Yeah. And because of it, these people are now, we have to accept that this is our child. We have to now craft laws to make sure
we accepted it because when we coming up, King. Sorry for cutting you off, King, but when we come up, we accepted our gay family members. Yeah. But they had to coexist in society.
But it's a difference now.
Yes.
And the difference now is that we had them in our family, but that family, like I told you, didn't have money. So that tolerance wasn't there. You get where I'm going? The structure was there so that if you was a gay person in a family and you knew it, you removed yourself and you went and you lived your life. You wasn't condemned for it and you were supported by your family because you lived you went out and made it happen. They called it an exotic life. They had an exotic lifestyle.
Yes,
so that's what they did. Yeah. But they wasn't treated any differently. So what happened was is that you had a group of people, especially black people, especially progressive black people, who threw they threw the baby out with the water. Everything goes. So now the problem was, you know what? You have the white people are this and it's the white people this. Too many black people are in jail, but they don't discuss that they're in jail. We're not talking about the 5 or 10% that's in there because they don't deserve to be there. No, we're talking about the 90% that committed the crime that belongs there.
Thank you.
Okay, and you are now crafting laws that are freeing these people, and this is why you see the carnage, this so-called mental foolishness crafted in mental illness that's out here now. It's not mental illness. A lot of it is mental foolishness.
King, I'll tell you, man. Thank you, King. I think we had a great conversation today, man. You know what I mean? Brought up some good things and make people think about. See, that's what this show's about. You get me, King? It's to make you have enough time to say, hold up, man, what the hell what? You get me? This don't make sense here. That's what's going on. Now I have to go home and check this out. You get me? That's what we do here at the Tyrone Album, King. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, Chris, for sitting in, man. Thank you, man. I think we had a good show, King. And to all patrons, man, again, I say, man, King, Chris, I don't know if we're going to be on next week, man. So I'm going to let you know now, man. But I'll let you know Monday if we're going to come on, man. So I straighten out some things and everything, man. So to the guests, if you don't hear us next Thursday, don't get upset. You can still check the podcast out if you choose to. But we'll be back on the air. And I'm going to make sure of that, man, because this is something that I enjoy doing, man. I just got to straighten up some things and get things right, King. That's all. You know what I mean? We're going to make it work. I say, we still got a second, King, and I'm going to say, man, again, I say the nuclear family is the most important thing to me in all aspects of life, because without the nuclear families, all our families will not exist in a social manner. We will just be free willy folks. And we know that we can't be free willy all the time. You know, they give us times of the year to be free willy. They give you holidays where you can let your hair down and things of that nature, but not let your hair down all the time. Because if you let it down all the time, King, you said something about a weak man is a strong man and a strong man becomes a weak man when he becomes something you said in that Iron Couple show, but that is where I'm going at with that, King, and with that, man.
Basically, strong men make good times. Yeah. And those good times create weak men. Yeah. Those same weak men create bad times. And out of those bad times come strong men. And that's how the cycle repeats itself.
Repeats itself consistently, King, but somewhere, sometime,
we're the dinosaurs.
We have to stop it. It has to be severed somewhere. And the strong have to rise up and say, look, man, this weak shit ain't happening no more. Excuse my language.
But
It can't happen no more.
We got weak leadership.
Seeing weak leadership, man.
We got weak leadership.
Had all the Baltimoreans are talking about consistent weak leadership. Y'all gonna have a great weekend, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.